Hello and welcome everybody to the Solano College Sports Network for a new edition of the Tuesday Swoop. We have Garrison Glenn, Blake Molina, I'm Cameron Anderson, on set, ready to catch you up on NFL playoff madness lately. It's been a while since we've been back on set, but that means there's a lot of football to get into. We're going to get into the Super Wildcard weekend, last weekend's divisional round, this upcoming weekend's AFC and NFC Championship, and our Super Bowl predictions. So first off, let's break down the Super Wildcard weekend with the 49ers and the Seahawks.
Alrighty. So for the Seahawks game, I didn't get to watch all of it, but from what I did see, the Niners did exactly what they needed to do. I think they were the superior team pretty much top to bottom, and the only person that actually I think that shown a lot of promise was DK Metcalf that I saw towards Charvarius Ward on that huge play, and I was like, okay, well, they're still in it. And then what shocked me was how the Niners played from the first half to the second half. That first half it looked very iffy for them, and then they took off in that second half. So that showed a lot of promise. But also for Seattle, for their future, I feel like they should be very happy with Geno Smith. No one really expected the Seahawks to go as far as they did, at least for me at least. And then I like Kenneth Walker. I think that's my pick for Rookie of the Year. He surprised me very much throughout the entire season. And then I just think Seattle just needs to work a little bit more on their offensive side. Their defense is very, very young, so they just need time to flourish. But I like Seattle.
I'm going to come off of Seattle. Their defense was very impressive, very under the radar. I don't think anybody was expecting their defense to be what it was. It wasn't obviously Legion of Boom, but I mean, it was pretty good for having so many rookies. And then going back to Geno Smith, I mean, guy was been a backup for a little bit, didn't work out with the Jets, was on the Giants for a bit. I think he has, a permanent home. I don't know how long, but I think he definitely has a home at least the next couple years until they're ready to maybe go to a full rebuild and go draft somebody. And then the Niners just, since getting CMC, they've been dominant. I'm 11-0 since you...
12 now.
12 now.
Well,
we'll get into that, though.
Yeah. Anyways, you guys are undefeated since you got him, and
pretty
much the package you gave up to get him was pretty solid. Right. I don't think anybody really walked away as a complete loser. I mean, Carolina got a decent amount, but CMC's been kind of your guys' catalyst, and it showed in that game for sure.
Yeah, well, CMC was kind of just sitting on the shelf with the Panthers. He wasn't really able to provide much, so I think it was obviously beneficial for the Niners to get him. He's been fantastic. But like you're saying, I think the Seahawks do have a lot of promise. A lot of people were expecting them to win like 2 games this year.
I had them at 4.
They almost won their division, especially early on when the Niners were 3-4. It was not looking great for the Niners, and the Seahawks were playing well. They drafted extremely well with Tariq Woolen and Kenneth Walker, obviously, and Kobe Bryant out of Cincinnati.
And Michael Jackson.
So the Niners played well in the second half, though. The first half was a little sketchy.
Very.
And I believe it was tied going into half. Or it was 17-16. The
Yeah,
Seahawks had just kicked the field goal to take the lead. Moving on, the Jags and the Chargers, which was probably my favorite game of the whole weekend. This was absurd, as Trevor Lawrence threw 4 picks in the first half, came back in the second half and threw 4 touchdowns. Or actually 3 touchdowns, 1 touchdown at the very end of the first half, going into half, which gave them some momentum. What did you guys think about that game?
I watched kind of the end. I was at work. I got the very end where they came back. I thought that was incredible, but, man, the Chargers really got to figure it out. And, I mean, respectfully, I think Staley needs to get out of there, or if I'm Justin Herbert, if something happens like this again, I'd get out of there. You can't let that happen. And the Chargers have a great team. But you can't let that. That was the worst collapse I've seen in a very long time. That was really
worse
bad.
Than the Colts, or?
In that situation, I think it is.
Yeah, in the playoff situation, and no offense against a Jaguars team that really wasn't expecting to make any noise, and Trevor Lawrence threw the 4 picks. Yeah, I think that's worse than the Colts. Yeah, I actually do.
My takeaway from this game was kind of like the Chargers, like what you said with the Chargers. Excuse me. I thought the Chargers were going to win this game. I picked them to win the game, and seeing them up 27-0, I was like, okay, that's perfectly fine. And then I look at my phone later on, and then the Jags are in the game. Yep. And I'm like, what? Like, how? How do you do that? After the man threw 4.
Yeah.
4 picks in the game is like that usually will get you beat.
Yeah.
So as far as the Jags, I do like their defense. Their defense did exactly what they needed to do in that second half. not the biggest Trevor Lawrence fan, but he kind of proved me wrong this year. I wasn't expecting them to do anything this year, and not much this year, and he definitely proved me wrong. Played pretty well against Mahomes too, but we'll get into that a little bit later.
Yeah, I think when we did the preseason show, we kind of laughed at the thought of Trevor Lawrence and Tua being in the realm of top 10, top 15 quarterbacks, but they're definitely top 15, both of them, and inching towards top 10 in the future.
Trevor Lawrence didn't get his name the Golden Boy for nothing. I mean, in college he proved it, and I know that's a big step going from college to the NFL, but I mean, just in the the Urban Meyer thing really crushed him, and that's where it kind of looked rough, and I think a lot of people wrote him off. When you brought in Doug Peterson, don't get me wrong, I wasn't expecting to do what they did. Like, I wasn't expecting to make the playoffs, but
win their division.
Win their division, but they showed strides, and I think the future is bright, and I think in the offseason, they're just going to get them more weapons and address those holes, and I think the Jags will be a good team going forward.
Yep. So next game, number 2 seed Bills against the number 7 seed Dolphins in what everyone expected to be an absolute blowout, as basically third string Skylar Thompson, who was actually the quarterback picked right before Brock Purdy in the 7th round of that draft. He started, and he had his team within striking range of the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen.
I thought Miami should have won that game. The way that they played well enough to beat Buffalo. I think they did. I think kind of time wasn't on their side. But Buffalo concerned me during that game. I was like, why is this team so close? Why Buffalo should have blew them out, I felt like. And to only win by 3, that kind of shows that there was reason for
there was a weakness there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And there was reason for you to be concerned, and then we see what happens this week. So
I had Buffalo going to the Super Bowl. So after I saw that score, because again I was working, I didn't really get to catch most of that game. I was like, that's very concerning. And Buffalo's loaded on both sides of the ball too. This is probably one of, if not, I'd say one pretty balanced team. I don't want to say they're the most balanced team. Yeah, but they fit the category for sure.
Right.
I mean, Allen, Diggs, the running back room is a little sketchy. I do think that needs a big upgrade for them to really go the distance. But I mean, their offense, I mean, it for the most part can hold up. I mean, even without a running back. I mean, Singletary was in there. They had Zach Moss before they traded him to the Colts for Naheem Hines. Cook's brother.
James Cook.
James Cook, thank you. I was going to say Jared. James Cook, he was in there every once in a while. He started showing little flashes at the end.
He's a rookie. He's going to be good.
Yeah, he needs time, of course. Yeah, but I still think for them to go the next step, that running back room needs a vet, a steady vet to get in there.
I think it was interesting because I think this was Josh Allen's worst game I had seen him play.
Really?
I did not think he was good at all. He fumbled the ball. He threw 2 picks. He turned the ball over 3 times against the Dolphins' defense, which is good, but not a spectacular defense in any way.
By any
and he was letting the Dolphins back into the game. Skylar Thompson didn't do much. There, basically all the reason the Dolphins were in the game was because of their defense stopping the Bills. And so that was definitely alarming for me, and that was one of the reasons why I did not choose the Bills to move on in the next round, because I just thought there were too many holes, and they honestly didn't play very well at the very end of the season compared to the Bengals, who are red hot, the Chiefs, who are red hot.
Exactly.
So that was definitely concerning for the Bills. Now moving on, Blake's favorite game of the weekend, number 6 seed Giants beat the number 3 seed Vikings. Danny Dimes showed up in the big moment against the Vikings on the road in Minnesota.
Thank God I was at work. I didn't get to watch that game. I was. Now, don't get me wrong. I did not think we were going to go in there and blow them out. I didn't think, I didn't think it'd be close. It was between a touchdown. It's not bad, but I didn't think we were going to go and blow them out. But wow, Daniel Jones surprised me. I don't think he's that good of a quarterback. He did prove me wrong a little bit throughout the season, but I still don't think he's anything special. I see him as a bridge quarterback, if we're just being honest here. I really do. But, they showed what they can do. They made noise, and our defense just sucked. We collapsed. Our defensive coordinator should have been fired probably mid-November at the latest. I even think before that. Yeah. And, all we can do is just bounce back in the offseason. Maybe it's time to go draft a quarterback in the first round. Let him sit behind Cousins for another year. I'm looking at Anthony Richardson out of Florida. That's my dream target and / realistic. And obviously, Defense needs a lot of upgrades. We're going to lose some people in the secondary. Harrison Smith, I believe, is going to probably be gone because he's too much money. Dalvin Cook has been talked about potentially restructuring his contract. I don't want to see him go, but pay cut potentially.
Right.
Adam Thielen's the very big one where I can legit see him leaving. Like, it could be the end of Adam Thielen, so we need to go get another receiver because Osborne's not ready to be a number 2 just yet. He's a great number 3, but he's not ready to be that number 2. We need a solid number 2 next to Jefferson. Hawkinson, though, was a great addition. He stepped in, and I mean...
It was a big move.
Yeah, I don't think, in that game, I mean, if Hawkinson doesn't blow up and have 129 yards, I think we get stomped.
It gets ugly.
It gets ugly. So, and I give the props to the Giants.
What I saw in that game was Saquon Barkley.
He deserves it.
He ran all over you guys.
Yeah.
That run defense was non-existent pretty much. Saquon was able to do whatever he wanted to, and then also Daniel Jones.
Yeah, him
First
rushing
half,
out.
I mean, that was a
half,
surprise.
he rushed for 70.
That was
what I'm saying.
surprising.
Like,
He looked like Josh Allen in the first half, honestly.
looked better than Josh Allen, like in glimpses, and also. What's going on with Justin Jefferson? Ever since that Green Bay game, he's been getting shut down.
I told you guys off camera, he's on the milk carton. Have you seen me? Straight up. I mean, yeah, he's the generic. We were talking about it, the Packer game. Alexander put him in prison.
Seatbelt.
And like you said, he hasn't been the same since, and I agree.
Yeah.
He's a top wide receiver, don't get me wrong. Yeah. I mean, the last couple games were rough, and we shouldn't kick him out of that conversation, but he can't have games like that, especially big games, big moments.
Not if you want to be a top premier receiver in this league.
Exactly. And, he was, before those games, I mean, he was considered the number 1 guy in the league by some and by most.
He almost broke Randy Moss's. He broke the franchise record.
Yeah, he broke the franchise, but not the actual
And I believe in Justin Jefferson. Don't get me
wrong.
Totally.
What happened this playoffs these past few weeks was shocked me.
It was surprising. Yeah, it was definitely surprising.
Yeah, I'm not counting him out. I think he's going to come back even hungrier than he was this season, and he's really going to make noise. But I mean, he's got to do that consistently.
Yeah,
for sure.
All right, next game, the 3-seed Bengals against the 6-seed Ravens. Tyler Huntley in that quarterback for the Ravens. No Lamar Jackson. There's a lot of controversial stuff going on there. We'll see if Lamar Jackson resigns with the Ravens as he was hurt. And I personally think it was all right for Lamar Jackson to sit out because we've seen Robert Griffin III was a prime example of someone who was too injured to go back in and play and ended up ruining his career, which is really sad because RG3 was so good when he was healthy. And you don't want to see that happen to Lamar, especially on a Ravens team that was good, but they're not winning the Super Bowl that year, let's be honest.
No, of course not.
But the Bengals actually, their receivers were kind of getting locked up. The Ravens had a really good defense this year, and I was a little surprised that the Bengals didn't blow them out of the water, to be honest.
You can start this
for this Ravens team. I'm not a fan of what they're doing to Lamar because this man has proven time and time again that he's one of the best in the league.
And then they traded their number 1 receiver, Marquise Brown.
They traded him, and they haven't done enough for this man to have he has never had a number 1 receiver. Mark Andrews was basically his top receiver throughout this season, and the man proved to you that he can play quarterback, not with his leg, quarterback, but also be a dual threat, and has won an MVP and still hasn't been given the contract that he deserves. I don't understand why. And maybe it's on their side, maybe it's on Lamar's side, but it just something is not wrong. Something's not going right. And for the Bengals, I was very surprised too. I was like, why isn't this team beating them too? It's kind of like the Bills, but I don't know. I'm not so sure what's going on with the Ravens right now. I hope they can come to some agreement because I think Baltimore is the best place for him. But whatever could happen might happen.
Yeah, the Bengals, they should have probably blown him out. Tyler Huntley had no business keeping him in that game. I mean, he did a good job. I'm not knocking him. He had to come into kind of a weird situation, and do what he did. He did okay. He didn't do great, but, I agree. The Bengals should have blown him out. And then going off the Lamar thing, I mean, he should have got the contract beginning of the season. There should have been no question. And I kind of think what's holding it up, I don't think it's him or the Raven. It's kind of him because he's his own agent. I think he might be kind of just asking for a little too much. But at the same time, if you're the Raven, I think you kind of have
whatever
to give
you
the guy
want.
whatever he wants.
An empty, open check, or just like a.
Yeah.
At this point, he's your franchise quarterback. He's one of the best quarterbacks in football. He is that offense. That system runs around Lamar Jackson.
Yes.
If they don't have Lamar Jackson, that offense is one of the worst offenses in football.
Yeah, and like Garrison said, he has never had a true number one. I mean, I'll be honest. I'm a Marquise Brown fan. He's not a number one receiver. No, he's really not.
No.
Rashad Bateman, he's coming up. He's not a number one receiver yet. And so with that, it's, if you go all in for Lamar, like you do give him his contract, that's great. Mm-hmm. You got to go get him some help. Whether you trade your picks and go grab some disgruntled receiver, you go sign the big name on the market, whatever, you got to do something. Mark Andrews is a great tight end. It's him and Kelsey for me. You can go either way. It's however you want. But you need a number one receiver, and you need a guy who can, I am a big body receiver type guy. I think you need somebody like that. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but Metcalf would be perfect for him.
I was thinking of DK, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not saying that's...
Williams,
Mike Williams, yeah, that's a good one.
Speaking of, we didn't touch on the fact that Brandon Staley played Mike Williams in Week 18 in a pointless game. Mike Williams fractures back, wasn't able to play. Yeah. Anyway, let's move on. Last game, number 5 seed Cowboys beat the 4 seed Bucks, where, let's be honest, the Bucks were not in any position. They had no business being in this game. They had no business really being in the playoffs. They were not good this year. And it was just Tom Brady, who looked like a 45-year-old man. And I hate to say that because I don't want to disrespect him, because obviously he's the GOAT. Tom Brady's amazing. But this year was really disappointing. He didn't play well. Him and Mike Evans didn't have that connection at all really this year until the last week of the season against the Panthers. And the Cowboys played really well. Dak played really well, and got to give props to him. That was the best, probably biggest moment game he's played, because in other games he hasn't played as well. Mm-hmm. But we'll get into that. And that fueled a lot of Cowboys fans to have hope for this last weekend. So
respectfully, I think Brady should have retired maybe a season or two ago.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even think he should have been in the situation. I agree, the Bucs had no business being there. Right. That was one of the worst divisions in football. And, I don't want to say that's going to take a hit on Brady's legacy, but there's got to be a point, potentially after this season, when they lost, you don't want to damage your reputation. You might need to hang him up just for that. Not because you can't play anymore, but just because you don't want to do something like that. Because that was, I don't want to say that was terrible, but that was bad. That was really bad. And unfortunately, it had off-the-field problems that had repercussions. So,
with Brady's situation, there's a lot of things that went into it as to why he was bad. Obviously off the field, and then the chemistry with the team. My thing is with Tom Brady at this point, I felt like he didn't want to go out like that last season.
Yeah,
when he was to the Rams, he didn't want to go out like that. I understand that. But I'm kind of agreeing with you. I felt like he should have retired after he won the 2020 Super Bowl.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, why not?
Or 2021, whatever.
Yeah.
It just feels like now he's just doing it just because there's nothing to, quench that thirst of playing in a football game. He's after he retires, he's going to go to Fox and be an analyst and be around the game.
Yeah.
But it's never going to be the same anymore, and he knows that. And so I'm guessing he wants to cling on to whatever he has left.
Yeah, that competitive fire is really not going to leave until your body is completely given up. And his body still hasn't completely given up. He's obviously took really good care of his body. Similar to LeBron in basketball, both of them just are golden standards of how to have longevity in their respective sport. All right, we'll be back for the divisional round recap after a quick break. See you on the other side. Welcome back to the Tuesday Swoop here on the Solano College Sports Network. We're going to get into our divisional round recap, starting off with the Jaguars against the Chiefs, which was a 20-27 game, somewhat close at the end. What were your guys' thoughts on that one?
You want to go first, or you want me to go first?
Well, I'll start for
Okay,
this
go
one.
ahead.
Well, first, like we were talking about in the last segment, Trevor Lawrence played solid. He had a weird game, that first one, the 4 picks, the 4 TD game. You can kind of judge that how you want, but he was okay. You know, he only had 1 touchdown. He only threw 1 pick, and they were right there. I mean, the Chiefs are potential Super Bowl contenders. Mahomes is full
Always
health.
are. They always are.
Yeah, they always are. I mean, Mahomes is the modern day, whoever you want to compare it to, like top athletes in sports right
Brady.
now. Brady, there you go. For me, though, with the Chiefs, the one thing I want to talk about is Isaiah Pacheco, the rookie coming in, rushing for almost 100 yards. What's going on with Clyde Edwards-Helaire? Is he done?
He hasn't played since like week 6 or
that's what I'm
7,
saying.
and
That was very, they kind of kicked him to the curb in a way, like you just said, and that was kind of surprising. But
he was the last pick of the first round, right?
Yeah.
In 2020.
Mahomes literally went to the
2020.
GM and said,
Yeah.
I want that guy, because
Yeah.
it was after they won the Super Bowl. And they said, yeah, of course. And, so that was kind of surprising, but shout out to the rookie for stepping up in that game. And, for the Jaguars, they weren't supposed to be.
They're playing with
anyway.
house money at this point.
Yeah, that, and they weren't supposed to really be here. And they have just a couple young guys. Travis Etienne's a nice running back coming up. Trevor Lawrence we talked about. Christian Kirk, his contract was very suspect at first.
Right.
Now it doesn't look as bad. Zay Jones kind of coming out of nowhere. Evan Ingram, they gave some guys some tryouts and it worked. But you got to get better upgrades than that. And I think, if they do that, I think the Jaguars will be good going forward, like we talked about in the last segment.
In this game, I was very, very pleased with Mahomes, given the circumstance that he has with his ankle. That high ankle sprain hurts for a while, and it takes about 4 to 8 weeks to heal. So that going into the next game against Cincinnati, and Cincinnati knows that, so it's like, ooh. But playing this game with basically 1 leg towards the end, I was very, very surprised and happy to see that he didn't throw a single interception when he's a very, very, very risky quarterback that likes to throw it and likes to sling it, obviously. And also having 195 yards and 2 touchdowns. I was like, for a person who got hurt, it's very, very solid.
Yeah.
Against a very solid defense as well.
Yeah.
Lawrence impressed me as well. 24 for 39 on passing attempts, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and then 217 yards. I mean, you can't really ask much more from Trevor Lawrence. So I was very impressed by both quarterbacks. And going forward, I think Trevor Lawrence has a bright future now with the Jaguars. I think they've surrounded their team with a lot of players that I think is going to make him successful. And then with Mahomes, it's Mahomes. He was kind of expected at the beginning of the year to not really be as good without Tyreek Hill, and he wasn't as good. He was better.
Yeah.
He one of the few quarterbacks to hit 5,000 yards twice in his career.
Yeah.
One last thing
It's
about
insane.
the Chiefs real quick, too, is when Mahomes got hurt and longtime veteran kind of been a backup, he started a little bit. Chad Henne came in.
Right.
The 98-yard drive was incredible.
Yeah.
I believe it was a record either for the Chiefs or NFL. I don't remember which one, but that was incredible. It finished with Travis Kelce getting that touchdown.
Right.
I think that's impressive. And then, I mean, yeah, as long as Mahomes is okay, I mean, they're favorites, like you said, all the time. I mean, it's just his health with the ankle.
Right. Yeah, like I was saying, I think the Jaguars, just to be in that game itself was spectacular for them.
Yeah.
The fact that they won their division in the last game, beating the Titans, who have sort of dominated. The Titans have dominated that division for a while now. And for the Chiefs, they played well. I thought they played all right. Mahomes was obviously banged up, so he wasn't able to be the Mahomes that we're used to, where he's
Right.
rolling out, throwing underhand passes. But Kelce was the game wrecker. Travis Kelce was the best player on the field the whole time. He's having an amazing season year after year after year. He's going to go down as one of, if not the best tight end of all time, in my opinion.
He will be.
And he's still got plenty of years for him to go. And his playoff numbers are insane. He's getting 10 catches and 100-plus yards, 2 touchdowns almost every game. So he played amazing. And we'll see how Mahomes' ankle is, because he's going to need to be a little limber going up against Cincinnati next week, a team that they have had some struggles with.
Some.
So the next game, the Giants and the Eagles. This one was a blowout, 38-7.
Right.
Jalen Hurts is back. He looked great. Devonta Smith had a big game. Eagles were able to run the ball. Giants weren't able to do anything against that defense. That secondary was swarming. The Eagles look scary, and I think that offensive line is legit. They have the best offensive line, one of the better offensive line in football in a while, in a long time.
I think
they
they
have
have the
Pro
best.
Bowlers at every single position on the offensive line.
Yeah. No, I think they have the best right now in the league for sure.
Yeah.
I don't think it's like they're.
There's not even a debate. I don't think it's a debate at all.
No, I mean, I was just gonna say, it's not like they're like crushing it. Like, there's a couple other teams that have really good O-lines, but they definitely have the number one for sure.
Yeah.
With this Eagles team, they did whatever they wanted to do. You want to run the ball? We're going to run it. We're going to pass it? We're going to pass it. You're not going to stop us. Like, I saw that the game was 21-0 in the first half. I'm like, yeah, this game is over. The Giants were back to the Giants that we thought they were going to be against Minnesota. Going against the Niners, oh man, it's going to be crazy. That offensive line is going to protect Jalen Hurts at all costs, and his ability to run the football makes him one of the most lethal dual threat quarterbacks in the league.
Yeah, and we'll get into that matchup in just a bit.
They needed to pass the sticks when it's 21-0. I want to talk about I'd like to talk about the Giants for just a quick second.
Okay.
So, yeah, they beat Minnesota, and I was very salty about that. Daniel Jones had a solid game. Listen, Daniel Jones looked like what Daniel Jones has looked like since he's been in the league this last game. I'm just being honest. I am. Barkley was held in check. He did still have 61 yards, and it's kind of his first playoff series, so I like Barkley, truthfully. I feel bad when he gets started because I think without the injuries, he could be a top 5 back without the injuries.
Yeah,
but injuries just kind of throw him off, and, like I said with Jones in the last segment, he's just simply a bridge quarterback. I mean, that's what he's going to be, unfortunately. The other thing, too, that I was impressed about the Eagles, Devontae Smith had the big game. A.J. Brown had 3 catches for 22 yards. That's it. And they blew him out of the water. Yeah. Blew him out of the water. Kenneth Gainwell, the other run, Miles Sanders had a kind of a bounce-back year. I wasn't expecting that. Kenneth Gainwell ran for 112 yards.
On 10 rushes.
Yeah, and scored. So, I mean, that Philly offense they're scary.
Very scary. The Eagles look really good.
Yes, they do.
Might be the best team in football. Next game. This was, going into it, definitely, I thought, the best matchup in terms of 2 amazing teams, fun teams to watch. The Bengals and the Bills. A rematch. A rematch of the regular season game where obviously DeMar Hamlin was hospitalized, and so this was just a crazy game. A lot of emotions. DeMar Hamlin was at the game, which was awesome to see. That was spectacular. Just 20 days after the incident, which is insane. And the Bengals came out ready to play. It was a snow game
From the jump.
and from the jump, Joe Burrow. He looked like the best quarterback in football. To be fair.
Can I start this?
Obviously, Mahomes. Mahomes is right there, but I'm telling you, Joe Burrow.
So I'm going to piggyback off you real quick. I think after this game and just the last game he played as well in this playoff so far, I think we need to start talking about Mahomes and then go Burrow.
No Josh
1
Allen.
and 2?
Yeah, I think so. Josh Allen, I don't know if it was just a bad luck season or whatever is going on, but I'm moving Burrow up for sure. He's in that top. He was kind of in the top 5 talks a little bit, but now I think it's between him and Mahomes for me. I'm big on Joe Burrow, so that just might be me. I'm not discrediting Josh Allen. He's right there. He's in that top 3-5, however you want to rank him. We'll do that another day. But this game, especially the way he came out, 23 of 36, 242, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. I mean, he showed out against a Buffalo defense that's usually tough, and they're in Buffalo while it's snowing.
Yep.
That Buffalo always has an advantage in the snow. They did this in Buffalo during the snow and whooped them. Yeah. Now, I'm going to stir the pot a little bit. I think there's a little more behind the Stephon Diggs frustrations. I know this from when he was in Minnesota.
Right.
He has a very short temper. He likes to express his emotions, which is fine. But I think there's a little more to that, and they really need to watch that during the offseason and be cautious. I'm not saying they're going to ship him out this offseason, but they need to really watch that. I think that could later on lead to something bigger and worse than what it was in the playoffs. But, yeah, I think Burrow needs a little more credit and needs to be. I think he's number 2 right now for me.
I'm going to talk about what you said with Stephon first. I didn't necessarily like what he had to say afterwards, like what he tweeted and everything, saying like, "What do you want me to do? Oh, you want me to lose? Like, you don't like losing the game? Obviously, no one wants to lose.
Nobody
the game.
wants to lose.
But I don't like how he kind of threw Josh Allen under the bus a little bit. I don't think Josh Allen woke up that day thinking, you know what, I'm not going to throw it to Stephon Diggs.
Exactly.
That's the best receiver. Of course, you're going to try and throw it to him and trying to get him opportunities. It just didn't work. And let's not act like the Bengals are like not supposed to be. They're a good team. They're a very solid team.
And their defense has played well in the second half of the year. Yeah.
And so for them to like act like the Bengals weren't what they are, like you got beat. You lost.
Yeah.
I mean, it happens.
Yeah.
I just feel like Joe Burrow did everything he needed to do, and just Josh made more mistakes than he did. I think it just comes down to that.
Yeah, the Bills' offense obviously only mustered 10 points,
Right.
and they were just locked down. The Bengals were playing great defense. And the interesting thing with Allen and Diggs is really the back half of the season, Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs, that combo, that connection was not really there. Diggs was not having great performances the last month and a half of the season, and in the playoffs he was held to not that many big plays. He was a standard receiver. Really, it was Gabe Davis that showed out in that wild card game. He had a monster game. So that's definitely going to be interesting in the offseason. I think they still really get along. They seem to have a really good friendship, and I think on the field they're going to be just fine for next season. Now, the last game, Dallas Cowboys against the Niners. This was 19-12 as the Niners grinded this game out in what was really a great game.
Yeah, all around.
I'll go first. I'll talk about Dak since he's the trending quarterback right now. I think the Cowboys should move on from him. The reason why is because they've had 7 years of work. The man's only won 2 playoff games, won the same amount as Brock Purdy, who just started playing in the NFL like consistently about 2-3 months ago. Dak just is too inconsistent for me. He'll have a game like he did against the Bucks, which you're supposed to have. You were the better team from top to bottom. You're supposed to do that. But then when you play a team who's either equal to or better than you, you play like that.
Yep.
And also expectations. You're expected to play very, very well every single game, day in and day out. And this man threw more interceptions than any other quarterback through 12 weeks. So it's just there's too many inconsistencies with him. I just think he needs to start fresh someplace else. And then with the 49ers situation, their defense showed, I think they showed the world why they're number 1. I mean, they did everything they were supposed to do, except for the situation with that what's it called? I'm sorry, with CeeDee Lamb, that pass, that 60-yard pass. My goodness, that was crazy.
That was tough.
That was very.
I was worried.
At that point, I was very worried as well. But I think they'll let you have like a few like big plays like that. But I think when it comes down to like when they need to win, they've been able to win. And with Brock Purdy, he's done everything he needs to do as well. He hasn't turned the ball over like too many times. He didn't turn it over, but also didn't have a touchdown this game. Didn't really need to. So in this particular game, it came down to the defenses.
Want to go back to Dak for a sec? I agree. He has been there a long time. It hasn't worked.
Right.
My thing with him, though, I'd give him 1 more year, and I only say that because the last, we'll say 2 seasons, Cowboys have never had a defense. I know this. My dad is a diehard Cowboys fan. He was a Cowboys fan.
First of all, the Cowboys are the second best defense in football this year.
No. I'm saying the last, before these couple years.
Yeah,
Before.
yeah.
Sorry. I did missay that. Before these couple years. This is the first time I think they kind of, the defense was good the last 2 seasons. So I felt like this was now the time to really go all in. And yes, they got CeeDee Lamb. They let Amari Cooper go. That's a little questionable with the money. That's a whole different topic. I don't think they should have paid Gallup. I was never a Michael Gallup fan. I don't think he's really anything special. I think you give him 1 more year. You keep the defense intact, upgrade it a little bit because they do need a few upgrades. But you go get Dak a few more weapons, and you see if he doesn't do it with weapons, and you let Zeke go, you got to get rid of him. It's over with. I know Pollard got hurt, and that really affects his free agency. I feel for the guy because I think whether he went back to Dallas or somewhere else, he was going to get a nice payday. He was very solid this year.
Yeah.
Actually, he was good. He was good.
He's very good.
But give it 1 more year, get Dak some more weapons, Maybe get rid of McCarthy, because someone's got to take blame for that last call. Whether it's Kellen Moore or Mike McCarthy, someone's got to take the blame there. That was one of the worst things I've seen in a football game.
That was terrible.
That was horrible. It was bad.
That was the most perfect way for them to end that game for the Cowboys.
Yeah, Cowboys fashion.
Cowboys fashion. Cowboys fair.
But one more year back, get him a little more help. If not, though, I agree. You move on.
Yep.
I've seen a lot of things about this. I do think there is a point to be made that CeeDee Lamb can't be your only option as a receiver.
I agree with that.
Gallup was not the same. He was hurt majority of the year. Since he came back, has not really been the Michael Gallup he was last year, who I thought was going to step into a pretty good number 2 spot. Noah Brown was all right throughout the year, but kind of fell off once Michael Gallup came back. Dalton Schultz tore up the Bucs the game before, and he's been great all year. He didn't do anything against the Niners, and honestly, he ruined that last drive for the Cowboys. Not knowing the rules, you got to move forward and move up the field when you step out of bounds.
Yeah.
That cost him at least 20 seconds. Then he didn't get his feet in bounds, so that was interesting. I don't think the Cowboys necessarily need to move on from Dak. I think they just ran into a really good defense, and a defense that they haven't really seen.
Yeah.
Like the Eagles are the only really team that I could compare to them, to the Niners defense. And the one credit I will give to the Cowboys is their defense. The Niners couldn't get anything going for the majority of the game until that drive where McCaffrey got the touchdown and Kittle made that juggling catch and brought it in right before Diggs hit him.
That was awesome.
That's a
really
miracle
cool.
Kittle play that
That's
he's
the catch 2.0. I think.
That
catch was crazy.
That's a good comparison. Real quick before we end this, I think Dalton Schultz is really underrated too. I think he's really starting to kind of figure it out, and if he does, I mean, that could be the weapon that Dak might be missing. But I agree with you, CeeDee Lamb, you need more than that. And
CeeDee Lamb did his part.
He did absolutely. No, he
was
great.
the only guy doing anything.
Yeah,
really.
no, I still think Dallas stole him at 17 compared to some of the guys that went before him. We won't go into that, but yeah, no, I agree. CD did his part, but Dalton Schultz is definitely on the rise, and I think he'll be a nice safety blanket. I don't think he's going to be obviously like what Jason Witten was to Tony Romo, but he has, he has a little potential and some flashes, but they just need a couple more weapons, and then just the defense, the secondary a little bit needs a little work. I'm not a big Trayvon Diggs fan, so maybe that's why I'm saying that. I'm not really big on him.
All right, so that's a wrap for the divisional side. We'll take a quick break and be right back for the NFC and AFC championship predictions and the Super Bowl predictions. Catch us on the other side.
If you are interested in a career in sports broadcasting, whether you're commentating a live game
or hosting your own TV show,
or working behind the scenes, then this is the class for you.
For more information, contact Greg Poff, that's me, at solano.edu.
We hope to see you here next semester, and remember,
it's more than just sports, it's an education.
All right, and welcome back as we're on our last segment, our AFC and NFC predictions.
Yes, sir.
So first off, for the NFC, the Niners are obviously playing the Eagles. These are the 1 and 2 seeds and the best 2 teams in the NFC for sure. Maybe best 2 rosters in football, you could argue. And you could argue that the Eagles actually have the edge for their roster and have the edge for being the better team. The Niners are actually the underdogs in terms of the betting odds coming into this one.
All right, with this game, I think it's going to come down to the offensive lines for both teams. The defensive line for San Francisco will definitely cause havoc for Jalen Hurts, but the way that I saw them handle Dak left me feeling a little bit nervous because Dak ran quite a few times and got a lot of yards, and we all know what Jalen Hurts can do with his legs. So he'll be. I hope the Niners can put in, enough pressure on Jalen to make him make a mistake, but it's so hard right now at this point in the season when he's on a roll like this. And for Jalen, he has so many weapons just like the Niners do, but I also feel like he can do more with the weapons that he has than the Niners do. So like you got Skinny Batman and Devontae Smith, and you got Swole Batman AJ Brown, who's
and
literally
Fat
always
Jason Kelsey.
Jason Kelsey. No, but he's literally always open, and he's one of the hardest receivers to cover in the game. And lately, the Niners corners have been getting torched. So
it's gonna be a tough matchup.
It's gonna be the toughest game for the 49ers.
100%.
But I do think McCaffrey will not have the same game as he did with the Cowboys. I feel like he'll definitely contribute more. So the Niners, I feel like the Niners can win this game if they get off to a very hot start. And I believe they will win this game. But it's just going to be very tough.
So I like what you said about the O-line.
Right.
I think it's whoever's going to have the best O-line. I'm going to say whose ever defense really balls out and shows out. Because, I mean, this is, for me, 1 and 2 defenses. You know,
well, I hope it works like that because I'll put my money on the Niners defense. But.
And that's why I'm going to lean towards, I'm going to take the Niners in this one, and only because just of how explosive they've been. Like we talked about with CMC, how you guys, how the Niners have been. But, I mean, Purdy's just, for what he's done and where he got drafted and the time he has, it is incredible what he's doing. And I am not taking anything away from Jalen Hurts because we talked about it off camera. If he doesn't get hurt, he's probably MVP.
Yep,
and he's for sure in that conversation. But
and I think he's better than Tua, but we won't get there.
He's better than Tua.
Yeah, no. I was laughing at because of why he said that. Anyways. But, I mean, I just think right now the Niners are they're on cloud 9, and they're going to ride it to the Super Bowl. I have them going. I don't know if they win, but I have them going, and I can see them beating the Eagles. But at the same time, whoever's defense shows up to play. And it's going to be in Philly, and that is a very tough place to play, let alone win on the road. Yeah. So I'm going to give the Niners the edge, and I do think CMC is going to have a bounce-back game. I think that's also a key for them winning that game is CMC 100%. Has to bounce back.
The running game has to be there because if they can't run the ball, the Eagles' offense is going to be on the field way too long. They need to run the ball, chew clock, be able to get into the play action so Brock Purdy can have those bootlegs. He can find Ayuk or Kittle running those crossing routes. Debo able to get the ball. McCaffrey, get Mitchell in there early. Elijah Mitchell has looked really good. I mean, he rushed for 1,000 yards last year as a rookie.
That's crazy.
So having him as a backup running back is a great luxury to have. But this game, as a Niners fan, makes me nervous because the Eagles are worthy of winning this game. And Jalen Hurts, if he's played like Jalen Hurts the whole year before he got injured, there could definitely be some trouble for the Niners. They haven't seen offense like this before. And the way that the Cowboys' O-line really protected Dak scares me because the Eagles' O-line is leaps and bounds better, I think. We only had 1 sack on Dak, I believe. One sack. We did have some pressures, for sure. True. But really, Dak sort of bailed our defense out in moments where he was driving in the red zone through some picks. I don't think Jalen Hurts is going to do that. I think he's going to be smart with the ball. And really, the biggest test for our defense is our secondary. Our corners, it's going to be a tough game because A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith are arguably the best tandem duo in the NFL. You could definitely argue T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. But, I mean, the way Devonta Smith's been playing recently, he's got to be up there. So the one nugget I do have is the Eagles are the worst NFC defense in yards after catch in the backfield.
And we're the best in yards after catch.
So McCaffrey and Debo in the backfield, they could have really big games. Again, we're going to need a chew clock, keep the offense off of the field. That's how the Commanders defeated the Eagles when they were undefeated.
Also, too, A.J. Brown cannot have the game he had. If the Eagles, I mean, I'm not saying if he does terrible, the Eagles are going to get blown out. They could. We won't really know. But he's got to have a better game, definitely. And the Niners secondary is nothing to, I'm not saying it's terrible by any means, but he's just got to have a better game. Even if Devonta Smith is going off, he's got to contribute somehow, whether it's 70 yards and a touchdown, or he goes for 115 and maybe and he has 10 catches or whatever. He just needs to get more involved for the Eagles offense to really kind of hang around with the Niners, truthfully.
And also, before we go to the next segment or point, Deommodore Lenoir, I think, is one of the X factors for this game. He, in the past 2 playoff games, has had a pick and is a backup corner, taking over for Emmanuel Mosley, who tore his ACL against Carolina. I've been very, very surprised and pleasantly surprised with his level of play. And I feel like he can definitely contribute to the Niners, at least getting, like, if not a pick, a deflection, or, you know, whatever could happen. But it's just, I think he could be definitely an X factor.
He's similar to Hufanga, who, by the way, had some of the craziest get-offs in that game against the Cowboys.
Right.
The way he times those snaps, I mean, he looks like Polamalu.
That's his mentor.
He looks exactly like Polamalu.
Right.
Got a gem.
And with Lenore, he's a young corner. I think he was he drafted a year ago? I think he was drafted a year ago out of Oregon. He played at Oregon. He's been up and down. He's had some picks, but there's also times where he's gotten burnt or he's playing way too soft in coverage. I don't know if that's a scheme thing, if that's his fault, but there are definitely moments where he was really soft in coverage and CeeDee Lamb was wide open on some routes. But either way, it's going to be a grind-out game. We're going to have to force them to run the ball, and that's going to be a tough task.
Yeah.
All right, so for the AFC Championship, Bengals, Chiefs, Cincinnati 3-0 against the Chiefs in 2022. They're the only team to really have consistent success against Patrick Mahomes and his Chiefs. Mahomes has a high ankle sprain. Cincinnati's been playing really well. It's up in the air, obviously, because these two teams are amazing. These are the two best teams in the AFC. That's why they're in the AFC Championship. What do you guys think? Bengals or Chiefs?
Take off. That's yours.
Perfect. I was just waiting for the go-ahead.
Take off.
I'm going the Bengals in this one, and it is no disrespect to Patrick Mahomes. That injury is just scaring me. I'm just going to say it. Okay. It is. It is no disrespect to Mahomes. Mahomes is number one, but like we talked about earlier, Burrow should be and is probably going to be number two unless he just absolutely plays horrible in this game, which I don't think he is.
Okay.
But it's pretty much a battle of 1 and 2. I do have Burrow because of the advantage. He has found success against the Chiefs. No one else really has done what he's done against the Chiefs. I mean, history tells all, and their offense is just loaded all around. Hayden Hurst was a very underrated acquisition. He's been phenomenal for them at tight end. I thought losing C.J. Uzomah to the Jets was a big loss, and it's kind of been the opposite. Jets paid him a lot of money. He didn't really do anything. Tyler Conklin stepped up.
Was the guy,
stepped up and took his role, and now he looks like a bad contract. I mean, he could be cut after this season for all we know. But Joe Mixon had a great game against the Bills too, 105 yards and a touchdown. I know we only talked about Joe Burrow, but Mixon is a very good running back, and he's probably going to be the X factor in this game. I think if he has another good game like this, the Bengals are definitely going to win this one. But I have the Bengals advancing.
Mahomes is my favorite player in the league, and that was my pick for MVP, and is my pick for MVP right now. And with this high ankle sprain, it doesn't seem like it's in the cards for him right now. History is showing that the Bengals will beat the Chiefs, and that's my gut feeling. I feel like the Chiefs don't have enough on the defensive side of the ball to stop Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow reminds me of a young Tom Brady in the way that he throws the completions. He doesn't really go for the home run. He'll throw you like a good 50 or 40 yard pass every now and then, but it's usually like the small completions that get you down the field in a hurry that I would see from Joe Burrow that I see in Tom Brady. And so he's just been so consistent lately, and with Mahomes being able to do what he is able to do on that hurt ankle, I feel like the Bengals, since they know that he's hurt, that's an advantage for them on the defensive side. And I don't think that the offensive line is going to be able to hold that defensive line consistently all 60 minutes. So I'm going to take the Bengals in this game. I just feel like there's just not enough from Mahomes right now, unfortunately.
I really liked your young Tom Brady comparison too, by the way.
That is right?
Perfect. Yeah, no. But the way you said it, you didn't say Tom Brady. You said a young Tom Brady. Perfect. That is spot on for me too. I couldn't agree more.
Well, I kind of wish one of us chose a different team because it seems like we're all in agreement. I have the Bengals as well. We all have the Niners and the Bengals. I mean, I just think it's similar to the Niners. The Niners are obviously 12-0 in their last 12 games. The Bengals are right there. I believe they've won 8 straight, I want to say. They won 8 straight games, 7 straight games.
No, I believe
so these are two of the hottest teams in the Bengals and the Niners. And I don't see it ending right now. I think the Bengals have a better defense than the Chiefs. I think with Mahomes injured, he's not going to be able to have his improv plays where he's able to scramble out and make a superhero throw or scramble for a touchdown and do some of the crazy things that we've seen him do. he's going to be limited with his ankle. And at the same time, part of me is like, well, it's Patrick Mahomes, it's Travis Kelce. You know, if there's 30 seconds on the clock and they're down by 3, they're down by 6, they're down by 7, anything can happen. Really,
Absolutely.
anything can happen. And it's hard for me to doubt Mahomes. It's hard for me to doubt that offense with just Mahomes and Kelce themselves.
Right.
It's hard for me to see them losing, but they've already lost 3 times to the Bengals, and the Bengals are deserving of going back to the Super Bowl. So I have the Bengals as well in a close one. I did a score of 30-28. I think it's gonna be a close game.
I don't have a score, but I don't think either of these games are going to be blowouts.
Yeah.
I think the most 10, 14 points, if that. But I have like the Bengals Chiefs 7 differential.
Yeah.
But I don't
At
have
the
like
most.
the number score.
Right.
But yeah, I don't think anybody gets blown. I'd be very shocked if anybody gets blown out this coming up week.
All right. Well, now we're at the Super Bowl, so we're going to Glendale, Arizona, home state of Brock Purdy. If the 49ers advance to the Super Bowl, like we're predicting, he would be the first rookie quarterback to go to the Super Bowl, to bring his team to the Super Bowl.
Wow.
Not only that, in my prediction, where they win, he would be Super Bowl MVP and win the Super Bowl. Now, he may not win Super Bowl MVP. That's my prediction. It could be McCaffrey or Debo, maybe. Kittle. There's a lot of options. Maybe a defensive guy if it's a low-scoring game. Yeah, Warner if he
Maybe
gets
Joe
15 tackles, or maybe Joe Burrow if if you didn't pick the Niners, which I picked the Niners. But what do you guys think?
Take off. Go ahead.
Oh, me? I'm taking the Bengals just because. I think
because-
Joe Burrow. No, Joe Burrow deserves it. They're coming back again, very deserving of being there. But if he's gonna win, now is the time because of the hot streak and stuff. And the Niners are on a hot streak too with Purdy. I get that. I think if the Niners win, I won't be happy. But Purdy deserves it. Really, he really does. If they win it, I'm happy for Purdy. And CMC because he got in that horrible situation in Carolina. that situation was terrible, and I was mad he got traded to the Niners, but thank God he just got out of there in general. I still feel bad for the receiver. I think DJ Moore needs to get out of there ASAP. Minnesota has a home for you. Come on down.
I'm sure you'll see this. So.
Yeah, I'm sure he will too. But it's Joe Burrow's time. I think Purdy's young. He's got plenty of time. I think he's going to be the starter going forward unless Trey Lance, as a reporter said, takes leaps and bounds. But I think it's Burrow's time if he beats Mahomes. I don't want to say dethrones because Mahomes is injured. That's not fair. But
he would have beaten 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
It's similar. We're getting a little off topic. Do you think Georgia has dethroned Alabama?
No.
Okay.
Not yet.
I don't follow.
I guess it's a little different because Alabama's been so down. But similar 2 years where.
What do you think will be the difference, and why do you think that Cincinnati's going to win?
I just think, the defense is crazy right now, and I agree. Whether it's you guys that advance or the Eagles, defense that's going to be the main thing for the Joe Burrow, or if Mahomes does win. That's going to be the thing is that they're going to play a top defense. They're going to play a tough defense, and it's going to be tough. But I just think Cincinnati's offense is just on different levels where they might not be able to beat the defenses, but they can. I think they can hang around. I don't think it's going to be blowout or anything, and I don't think Burrow's going to throw, like Trevor Lawrence 4 picks. I would hope not, but I just think
just a Dak too.
Something like that. But no, I think Burrow, they have a good chance. I think I think they have a better chance this year than they did the year before.
All right.
That's just how I feel.
If the Niners do make it to the Super Bowl, I think just based off of what happened last year and it's the best story in football, besides with Damar Hamlin right now. But to have someone that has never played in an NFL game come in and excel at this rate of speed is insane. This team is obviously behind him, and this team is running away with it right now. But like you said with Cincinnati, it's going to be very, very tough with the offensive side because being able to contain Joe Burrow is going to be very, very tough. But I do think the Niners defense can handle Joe Burrow and the Bengals. It's just going to take. I feel like it's going to come down to the last last possession, really. I think it might be a little bit of a shootout because both offenses can get 30 and 40 points like nothing. So it'll be I think it's going to be a high-scoring game if those two were to contend for the Super Bowl. I will pick the 49ers because I'm a 49ers fan. Straight up.
Like
that I feel good about that team if it does make it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. I think, honestly, whether the Niners move on or not, I actually think an NFC team, either the Niners or the Eagles, are going to win the Super Bowl, in my opinion. I think those are the two best teams. Now, going into the playoffs, I probably wouldn't have said that, or definitely going into maybe the mid-season point of the regular season, I would have said, well, it's going to be the Bengals, the Bills, or the Chiefs that win the Super Bowl. But the way the Niners have been playing, the way the Eagles have been playing, I think those are really the two best teams in football. So we will have to wait and see. All right, well, that'll do it. Garrison, Glenn, Blake, Molina, I'm Cameron Anderson. Thank you all for watching here on the Solano College Sports Network for this edition of the Tuesday Swoop, and we will catch you next time.